Today I'm going to share with you my top 10 investments as a solo player in GTA Online. In the number 10 spot, we have the armored vehicles and weapons I use for missions. As for the armored vehicles, the first one I ever got was the Duco Death because it is free and relatively bulletproof. This is a great option for new players and I used it for quite some time in most of the missions that I completed. But once I got enough money, I then bought the armored Kuruma, and since then this has been my number one choice. Both are heavily armored, almost completely bulletproof, and offer great protection when completing PvE missions. And because I spend most of my time completing heists and money grinding, having these two vehicles has been crucial for me in my time playing GTA Online. But having armored vehicles means nothing when you don't have the right weapons to pair with them, so investing in the best weapons in the game like the Combat MG, the Special Carbine Mach 2, the Assault Shotgun, the Railgun, the Machine Pistol, all of these weapons are so crucial and similar to the vehicles have allowed me to complete all the missions that I do a lot faster and with a lot more ease, which is why my weapons and armored vehicles have to be one of my top 10 investments in the game. Moving on to number 9 on the list, we have the arcade, and it's for two reasons. The first of which is it allows you to do the Diamond Casino heist, which is one of the best heists in the entire game, and although it can't be done solo, it is possible to complete with randoms, and when doing it with friends, it is a ton of fun since the concept of the heist is incredible. It also barely has a cooldown, so you could run this thing back to back to back and make tons of money in the game, but even though the heist is so good, it is actually the second best thing about the arcade because the first best thing is the ability to buy the Master Control Terminal. The Master Control Terminal is like a supercomputer. It allows you to access the computers of many different businesses in the game, all from one location. So you could go in, you could resupply your nightclub or set up the nightclub warehouse. You could also go in and resupply all of your MC businesses or even start up a sell mission from there if you'd like. It even gives you access to vehicle cargo, special cargo, and hangar cargo. It is just an incredible thing to have in the game. And for someone like me who loves to make money with passive income businesses like the MC businesses and the nightclub, this has been a huge help and has saved me a ton of time because now I don't have to go to every single business individually. I could just go to the Master Control Terminal and do everything from there. Now, in the most recent update, the Terabyte also got the ability to have a Master Control Terminal in it, so I would actually slot in the Terabyte now on par with the arcade because not only does the Terabyte allow you to access another Master Control Terminal, but it could also be spawned in anywhere on the map. But despite saying that, the thing that actually matters here is the Master Control Terminal itself. Anyways, it's because the arcade gives me access to the heist and the Master Control Terminal that I had to add it to my top 10 investments. Next up in the number 8 spot, we have the Salvage Yard, and it is for two main reasons. The first of which being it's 3 ways to make money. The first and best way to make money with the Salvage Yard is through the Salvage Yard robberies. They are essentially mini heists. You have a couple setup missions and a finale where you go out, steal a car, bring it back, and then you could sell it for quite a bit of money. Now, unfortunately, each robbery can only be done once per real life week, but they do pay out $250,000 to $500,000 each time. They only take about 45 minutes to an hour to complete as a solo player, and they all are tons of fun to do. But the robberies are just the first way to make money with the Salvage Yard. The second way is through the salvaging of vehicles. If you have the tow truck with a business, you can actually do tow missions where you go out, take a vehicle, bring it back, and then workers at the Salvage Yard will salvage the car and pay you out between $30,000 to, I believe, $65,000 each time. It doesn't make a ton of money, but it's something, and it actually ties into the third way to make money with the Salvage Yard, which is through the Salvage Yard wall save. So depending on how many vehicles you've towed in a certain period of time, you can make anywhere between a few $1,000s to up to $20,000, $25,000 per hour through the Salvage Yard wall save. Once again, it isn't tons of money, but it is passive income, so you can't complain about that. So just based on those 3 money methods, it makes the Salvage Yard a worthy investment. But the thing that actually puts it over the edge for me and takes it up to the number 8 spot is a special feature, which is the claimable vehicles. Now, as I said earlier, the Salvage Yard robbery finales has you go out, steal a vehicle, bring it back, and then you could sell it for a profit. But sometimes those vehicles can actually be claimed or bought for $10,000 to $20,000. And the thing that makes it crazy is that oftentimes these vehicles are $1, $2, maybe even over $2 million normally, meaning this claimable feature will save you millions of dollars in the long run just by having the Salvage Yard. Since this feature was added, I've claimed a handful of cars already, and it's more than made up for the amount of money I spent on the Salvage Yard. So it's because of this cool feature and the 3 ways to make money with the business that I had to add the Salvage Yard into my top 10 investments. Next up in the number 7 spot, we have something you might not expect, and that is my high-end apartments. Now, you may think they're on the list because of the OG heist, but they're actually on the list because they allow me to go AFK. For those who may not know, going AFK is when you do something in the game to make the game think you're still on and playing when you're actually doing other things and going about your day. And the reason why this matters is because if the game thinks you're on and playing, it means your passive income businesses are actually generating money and still making money for you even while you're not playing the game. Now, over the past couple years, there's been plenty of different ways of going AFK, and over time, Rockstar has patched a lot of them, but for the past little while, the best AFK methods have all had to do with the high-end apartment, like spectating other players, or staying in the entrance cutscene, or stuff like that. The methods I've used have all had to do with the high-end apartment, and so having the high-end apartment has made me millions and millions of dollars with my nightclub, with my MC businesses, with my acid lab, all of the passive income businesses, simply because I've been able to leave the game and do other things while letting the game run so that my businesses produce product. And the reason why that means so much to me as a solo player is because as a player, we have a limited amount of time that we could play the game each day. So being able to make money while you're doing other things is a huge bonus. And it's why this is a very important investment. And following the theme of efficiency, in the number 6 spot, we have personal quarters. Now, if you don't know, some businesses come with them, but for other businesses, you have to buy them. And the reason why they are so important is once you have a personal quarters at a business, you could then set it as your spawn location. And as a solo player, I could load into a new invite-only session and essentially session warp over to the property that I chose in like 5 to 10 seconds. This has saved me dozens, if not 100+ hours of time of me just traveling from point A to point B on the map, which is why it's been such an important investment for me as a solo player. Next up in the number 5 spot, we have the Autoshop. The Autoshop has many benefits, but there are 2 that matter the most to me, with the first being the Autoshop contracts. The Autoshop contracts are like mini heists. You have 2 setup missions and 1 finale. 7 out of the 8 of them pay out between $150,000 to $170,000, with the one exception being the Union Depository contract that pays out just under $300,000. The contracts only take about 20 to 25 minutes to complete as a solo player, and they're all tons of fun to do. Making money and completing heists are probably my favorite things to do in the entire game, so the Autoshop contracts do both incredibly well. Now, the most recently added business, the Garment Factory, also offers heists similar to the Autoshop contracts. They're also a ton of fun to do and pay out a decent amount of money, so I would say the Garment Factory is actually a decent investment right now. But the thing that puts the Autoshop on my top 10 list and places it so high is the second important feature of the Autoshop, which is the Autoshop itself, the actual car shop. This feature of the business is incredible because it offers many benefits. 1, every single car modification is unlocked in the business, so nothing is locked behind completing a certain amount of stunt jumps or reaching a certain level in game. Everything is available to you, so you could customize your cars the way you'd like. But on top of that, every single modification is also discounted, and some modifications are completely free, which is crazy. If you're someone like me who mainly grinds money just to then go and buy a bunch of cars in game and modify them, having the Autoshop and having this Autoshop specifically is such a huge bonus. But it's because of this feature and the Autoshop contracts that the Autoshop had to be on the list. Coming in at number 4 on the list, we have the 2 best aircrafts in the game, in my opinion, which are the Oppressor Mach 2 and the Sparrow. The Oppressor Mach 2 is probably the best vehicle in the entire game, hands down. It's essentially a rocket-powered bike. It allows you to fly around the map at incredible speeds, and because it is a flying bike, you actually have great maneuverability with it. You could take very sharp turns, get into tight spaces, ascend and descend really quickly. And because you could also attach missiles to the Oppressor Mach 2, it is incredible for missions, for travel, for literally everything in the game. Once you have the Oppressor Mach 2, there's usually no reason to use any other vehicle in the game. But as I said, there is one other aircraft that I really like, and that is the Sparrow. This becomes available to you once you have the Kosatka submarine. It is actually stored in the back of the Kosatka submarine, and despite it being one of the fastest aircrafts in the game as well as having missiles, the reason why it is an incredible investment is because it greatly reduces the time it takes to complete the Cayo Perico heist, which is the best money method in the game, but we'll talk more about that heist later on. Moving on to number 3, we have the 2 best passive income businesses, the Acid Lab and the Nightclub. To get the Acid Lab, all you have to do is complete the 6 First Dose mission storyline, and once you've done so and have completed 10 Fooligan missions, you could then buy the Acid Lab for $750K and the equipment upgrade for $250K. Once you've acquired both, you could then buy supplies, and over time those supplies will then turn into product which you could later sell for a profit. Now, I won't get into all the numbers because I've done that so many times on the channel already, but the Acid Lab can make you as a solo player up to $100,000 per hour in almost entirely passive income. Like I said, all you have to do is resupply it twice and do the sell mission after 4 hours when the acid lab is full, where you'll net $500,000 or more if you sell it in a public lobby, which is very easy to do. So $100,000 per hour for barely any work is incredible, but you could double that by also getting the nightclub, which is why I have these two together on the number 3 spot. Unlike the acid lab, the nightclub actually has 2 different ways to make money with the business, with the first one being the nightclub wall safe. The way it works is depending on how much nightclub popularity you have, a set amount of money will be deposited into the wall safe every in-game day or 48 minutes. The maximum that will be deposited into the wall safe per day is $50,000, and it slowly goes down from there the less popularity you have, but maintaining max popularity is pretty easy, so this is a very easy way to make 50k an hour. The second way to make 50k an hour with the nightclub is through the nightclub warehouse, and the way this works is you have up to 5 technicians that you could hire and assign to source 5 different kinds of products. And if you have all 5 technicians and assign them to cargo and shipments, sporting goods, South American imports, pharmaceutical research, and cash creation, as well as having the equipment upgrade for the nightclub, they will source you $50,000 worth of product every hour, meaning between the nightclub wall safe and the warehouse, the nightclub can make another $100,000 per hour. Now, I mentioned this earlier in the video, but passive income is so important as a solo player because we have a limited amount of time. So being able to make a combined $200,000 per hour between the acid lab and the nightclub while doing other things in game really helps with the money grind, which is why these 2 businesses are in the number 3 spot on the list. Although I should mention one final thing about the nightclub that maybe puts it a little bit above the acid lab, and that is the fact that the nightclub allows you to buy the terabyte, which, as I mentioned before, is now able to have a master control terminal in it. And on top of that, it's also the only place that you could upgrade your Oppressor Mach 2, which is where you're able to get missiles for the Oppressor Mach 2, making it the best vehicle in the game. But with that, that is all for the acid lab and the nightclub. Let's now move on to number 2 on the list, which is the agency. The agency has so many benefits, it's insane, but the first thing I'll talk about is the 4 ways to make money with it. So the main way to make money with the agency is through the Dr. Dre contract. The contract is like a large heist. You have 3 mini heists and 2 finale missions. It takes about an hour and a half to complete as a solo player, but at the end of it, you're paid out a total of $1.1 million. It's the second best way to make money in the entire game, so the Dre contract is amazing, but in order to do the Dre contract, you also have to complete a security contract, and that's the second way to make money with the agency. Security contracts are simple 5 to 10 minute missions. They pay out between 30 to 60k each time, so there's something that you might want to add into your money grind. But similar to how they tie in with the Dr. Dre contract, they also tie in with a third way to make money with the agency, which are payphone hits. In order to do payphone hits, you have to complete 3 security contracts, but once you've done that, you could start them up. And payphone hits are essentially simple assassination missions where if you assassinate 1 or multiple targets while completing an assassination bonus, you can make $45,000 each time. The assassination missions only take about 5 to 10 minutes to complete as a solo player, and they also only have a 10-minute cooldown, so they can be done many times over, making you great money. And although 45k for 5 minutes is good money, there is an even easier way to make money with the agency, which is the 4th way to make money, and that is through the agency wall safe. Similar to the nightclub wall safe, every in-game day or 48 minutes, a set amount of money will be deposited into the agency, but this time it depends on how many security contracts you have completed. So for every security contract you complete, an additional $100 will be added to the total that is deposited into the wall safe every day, and that goes all the way up to $20,000. So if you have completed 200 security contracts, you could then make 20k a day, and that is the easiest passive money you could make in the game. But with that being said, those are the 4 ways you can make money with the agency. It is one of the best money-making businesses or properties in the entire game, but there's still more benefits to the agency. First off, you're able to get an armory for the business, which allows you to get Mach 2 weapons. These weapons, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, are really important in the game for completing missions or doing anything in the game. So having the armory is very valuable. The second upgrade you could buy for the business is having the vehicle workshop, and this vehicle workshop allows you to put Amani tech onto vehicles, which is a feature that's only available for certain cars in the game, but for those cars, you're then able to put on stuff like armor plating, put on a lock-on missile jammer, and there's a few more features that could also be added with Amani tech, but a money tech is a really important feature in the game, especially if you're running around in public lobbies. So having the agency vehicle workshop is a very important investment in the game. So the agency vehicle and weapon workshops are very valuable, but there is one other benefit to the business, which is the different services offered at the reception desk. You can use the limo service, which is essentially a fast travel option. There's a free helicopter you could get from there and much more. And it's because of all these benefits, the workshops, the ways to make money and everything else, that the agency has to be a top investment on my list, and it's why it's in the number 2 spot. Now you may be wondering what could possibly make the thing that is in the number 1 spot better than everything offered at the agency, and that thing is the best way to make money as a solo player in the entire game. And that means in the number 1 spot we have the Kosatka submarine. The Kosatka submarine by itself is pretty cool. I mean, it's a massive submarine that you could drive around, but the two most important things that it offers is the Cayo Perico heist, the best way to make money in the entire game, and then as I mentioned earlier, the Sparrow, one of the best vehicles in the entire game. But the more important thing is the Cayo Perico heist. Now the way the Cayo Perico heist works is you essentially sneak onto a private island, take loot from around the island as well as a primary target in a central compound, and if you could escape the island successfully, you can make anywhere between $800,000 all the way up to $1.6 million as a solo player. And the best part about it is the heist only takes about 45 minutes to an hour to complete solo. Now the heist does have a 2.5-hour cooldown if you're doing it as a solo player, but there's no money method in the game that comes even close to how much money you could make with the Cayo Perico heist. In my time playing GTA Online the past couple years, I've made probably $300 to $400 million, if not more, with the Cayo Perico heist alone, and that is why the Kosatka submarine has to be my number 1 investment on the list. Anyways, with that being said, that was my top 10 best investments in GTA Online. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it helped you out. If it did, please drop a like. If you are new, subscribe, and with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.